Well, just 48 days after the last season finished, the new Premier League season is upon us. It gets going on Saturday morning, and here to break it all down is the Kick in the Grass boys, Jeff Blair and Dan Riccio. Jeff, we'll start with you. We'll start at the top with Liverpool. Won the Premier League title by 18 points over Manchester City. It's been a pretty quiet summer transfer period so far. They brought in a reserve left back, and they're chasing Thiago Alcantara, but let me ask you, do you think it would be a mistake if Jurgen Klopp didn't add a couple of rotation players to the mix, or do you think they're good enough as constituted to make it back-to-back Premier League titles?
Look, I always kind of go back to what the New York Yankees did when they were dominating baseball, and both Joe Torre and Brian Cashman believed that you had to have some churn every year, that even if you won a World Series, you had to freshen up the feel of your team, you had to freshen up the look. And I think in some ways what Man City went through last year just kind of reinforced that in my mind. So, yeah, I expected Liverpool to make a couple of moves just purely on the basis of changing it up a bit. Plus, they didn't impress me when they came back from the break. They were fine, but they certainly weren't a dominant team. And I think there's going to be a big separation between second and third this year, but I think they will be the team in second. I really do think Man City wins it this year.
Well, that's one thing Manchester United did back in the 90s and early 2000s under Sir Alex Ferguson. They seem to add a couple of guys every year to help them win all those titles. So, Dan, we know Manchester City will be a title contender. We expect them to have a better year if Aguero is healthy and Phil Foden plays a lot. We also think Chelsea is going to be in the mix for the title. We think, and I only say that because we know their squad is loaded. They have spent so much money on so much young talent this summer. But I think Frank Lampard's still a bit unproven. And I think there's, some critics out there who don't feel he is ready to take a team of this quality to the very top of the Premier League table. Do you think Frank Lampard is not in over his head? That's probably the wrong way of putting it. But do you think maybe he's a little there's not enough experience there to take a squad of this depth to where Blues fans want to see it go?
Well, there's the true reality that they had no pressure on them whatsoever last year. Like, getting into the top four was a dream for Frank Lampard. He had no expectations coming into the squad without being able to bring any transfers in because of the ban. They obviously moved on from Eden Hazard as well to Real Madrid. So getting top four was huge, and it was truly remarkable that he was able to do that and bringing in all the young players that he did. But there's a couple of real red flags here. As much as there is a lot of offensive talent now within the Chelsea side, there's still a lot of questions for me at the back. I don't think 36-year-old Thiago Silva is solving all of their issues. They still don't believe in their goalkeeper, Kepa, and they're trying to rectify that as well. And on Lampard, one specific area that Chelsea really struggled last year was set pieces. And I put that a lot on the manager. How much does he improve in those areas that he can get Chelsea across the finish line? Because they're going to have a bit of a, they're going to have a target on their back after the summer that they've had.
Well, I think the point on the back line is a good one. They might have to score 3 goals a game if they're going to win the league, and I'm not sure they could do that as deep as they are. All right, let's turn to the resident Man United fan in this room. It's not me, and it's not Riccio. It's you, Blair. Look, it was a good season. 3 semifinals. They finished third in the Premier League. I think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had some skeptics when he first took over, but I think over time he's kind of built a plan, and clearly I think United fans are believing in him. Squad depth is the question for me. We know they're still chasing Jadon Sancho. Dortmund had a deadline and it passed, and then United came back a couple of weeks later and they're trying for it again. So it kind of seems like that might be close to the finish line. But even with Sancho in, Jeff, do you believe that United are deep enough to win the Premier League this season?
No, I don't think that they've addressed enough of their defensive issues to win the Premier League this year. But I think in getting Donny van de Beek in, they've taken a big step forward. They still need to address, their defensive issues. Look, if they can get Jadon Sancho, fine. He's a great player. He'll be a great addition. But to win this year, like to really pull off a surprise this year against Man City and Liverpool, I don't think he would make as much difference to them as addressing their defensive issues. I mean, they're just far too weak in their back line. And there's just too many kind of dispensable or disposable pieces there.
Dan, let's group Leicester, Wolves, Arsenal and Tottenham in kind of one bowl here. And if you had to pick one out of that bowl and say, I think this team has a chance to finish top four and make Champions League next season, I think most would say Arsenal, considering the success and the couple of trophies they've won recently under Mikel Arteta. But a little birdie has told me that it's the other London team that you think is making top four. Explain yourself.
Hey, man, sometimes you got to have a big take, right? And, yeah, you can hear my full explanation on the Kick in the Grass from this week, which is up available now at sportsnet.ca. But Tottenham for fourth spot. A lot of it came down to I
think Blair agrees with you.
Yeah, no, probably not. Some of it came down to I've kind of done a bit of a 180 on Jose Mourinho, having watched All or Nothing on Prime Video. It's been a lot of fun seeing the way that he works behind the scenes and developing relationships with his players and just how he works. We know his second season at a club is generally the best that he has. Whenever he's gone around, that's when he's won titles at Chelsea and other spots. So I look at that as a bit of a benchmark too. And look, this is a team, they're not very deep, but they still got Heung-min Son, and they've also got Harry Kane. There's enough talent there. Dele Alli back. There's enough talent there within their 11 that they can go on a run, especially if Jose's got them playing a bit of a smarter defensive style than we've seen them play in the past. It's going to be a dogfight for that top four, but Tottenham's got enough to do it.
What do you make of Arsenal, Blair? Or you can just absolutely hammer Riccio for his Spurs point. It's up to you. You can talk about either London team here. Your choice.
Well, I mean, I understand Danny was carried away by that great Harry Kane motivational speech that we saw in All or Nothing. I mean, man, if that didn't stick a dagger in your heart as an England fan, I don't know what would. Look, I think Arsenal is really poised to surprise here. I mean, I think Man U right now I'd probably give them the nod for fourth place, but I would not be surprised if Arsenal sneaks in there. They seem to me to be the one team that has a plan. I love the way Mikel Arteta coaches that team. I like some of the attacking options he has. I love some of their young players. I think if not this year, then next year, they're a team that if they can make that one strategic acquisition, I think they're really well placed to, if not this year, to the next season, to be a factor for a long time going forward, because I think they have a lot of really good players.
It's a very busy schedule in Europe: Champions League, Nations League, World Cup qualifying, and the Premier League gets going this weekend.